The Krelthak warships emerged from hyperspace like obsidian arrows piercing the void, their crystalline hulls reflecting the distant starlight. Admiral Senethar stood on the command deck of the Infinite Dominion, mandibles clicking in anticipation as his fleet positioned itself around humanity's outermost colony of New Eden. His species had conquered 17 civilizations across the galaxy, and humans would be the 18th. Status report, he commanded, multiple eyes scanning the tactical displays surrounding his command pod. New Eden's defensive grid appears primitive. Admiral, his second-in-command reported. Standard kinetic barriers and outdated plasma arrays. No signs of quantum shielding or dark matter weaponry. The human fleet presence is minimal. Only 3 destroyer-class vessels in orbit. Senthar's crystalline exoskeleton sparkled with amusement. The intelligence reports had been correct. Humanity was indeed technologically inferior. Their rapid expansion across their local sector had caught the Empire's attention, but it seemed their growth had been driven by determination rather than advancement. Send the standard ultimatum, he ordered, though I doubt these primitives will recognize the honor we offer them in accepting their surrender. The message was transmitted, its contents unchanged from 17 previous conquests. Submit to imperial rule or face extinction. The Krelthak had found that most species chose survival over resistance when confronted with overwhelming force. The response came 3 hours later, transmitted on all frequencies in perfect imperial standard. We respectfully decline. Senthar's bridge crew chittered with laughter. The humans' pronunciation had been flawless. At least they would die with dignity. Begin the assault, he commanded. Standard conquest formation. Let's make this quick. The Krelthak fleet moved forward in perfect geometric patterns, their formations honed by millennia of warfare. The 3 human destroyers retreated behind their colony's meager defensive grid, exactly as expected. What wasn't expected was the quantum wake that suddenly rippled through spacetime, causing the Krelthak sensor arrays to scream in protest. Where there had been empty void moments before, hundreds of human warships now materialized, their hulls gleaming with an unusual iridescent coating that seemed to bend light itself. Impossible, Senthar's sensor officer screamed. They're using advanced quantum masking technology. Our intelligence suggested they were centuries away from such developments. Before Senthar could process this revelation, the human fleet opened fire. But instead of the crude plasma weapons he'd expected, streams of coherent dark matter lanced out from their ships, passing through his fleet's shields as if they didn't exist. The first volley alone disabled 30 Krelthak vessels. Emergency protocols, he shouted, but his crew was already in chaos. Their tactical databases had no reference for the weapons being used against them. The humans had somehow managed to keep their true technological level hidden from the entire galaxy. A transmission cut through the confusion, broadcast from the lead human vessel. Admiral Senthar, this is Fleet Admiral Sarah Chen of the United Earth Defense Force. For 6 years, we've watched your empire expand through genocide and conquest. We knew you would eventually reach Earth space, so we prepared. Everything you thought you knew about humanity was carefully crafted disinformation. Senthar's compound eyes widened as the human fleet executed a series of impossible maneuvers, their ships moving with an agility that defied known physics. They weren't using standard propulsion systems. These were gravity drive cores, technology that even the Krelthak had only theorized about. The 3 destroyers you detected. Admiral Chen continued, her voice carrying a hint of satisfaction. Quantum mirages, projected by our actual fleet hiding in artificial pocket space. We could have revealed ourselves when you first arrived, but we wanted to give you the chance to prove our assessments wrong. To show that the Krelthak Empire might be something more than conquerors. Your response to our colonies was exactly what we expected. More human ships emerged from pocket space, surrounding the Krelthak fleet in a 3-dimensional web of overwhelming firepower. Their iridescent hulls seemed to pulse with barely contained energy. Your empire's fundamental weakness, Chen explained, is your inability to conceive of your own defeat. You believe technological superiority guarantees victory, but humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology. It's our ability to adapt, to deceive, and to patiently wait for the perfect moment to strike. The human fleet's synchronized attack that followed demonstrated this philosophy perfectly. They struck from multiple vectors simultaneously, their tactics unpredictable yet precisely coordinated. Ships would vanish into pocket space only to emerge inside the Krulthak formation, unleashing devastating point-blank attacks before disappearing again. As Senethar watched his mighty fleet being systematically dismantled, he finally understood. Humanity hadn't just prepared for this battle. They had orchestrated it. Every piece of intelligence the Empire had gathered about Earth had been carefully crafted to create this moment. The humans had taken the Krulthak's greatest strength, their absolute confidence in their superiority, and turned it into their greatest vulnerability. The battle that was supposed to last days was over in hours. The Infinite Dominions Bridge was eerily quiet save for the sounds of failing systems and the distant thunder of hull breaches being sealed. Senethar stood amid the wreckage of his command center, mandibles slack with shock, as Admiral Chen's final transmission came through. Your empire has never faced defeat because you've never encountered a species that truly understood you. That ends today. The battle was over the moment we let your fleet arrive. Everything since then has been a lesson in humility. As emergency lighting bathed the bridge in crimson, Senethar realized that humanity hadn't just won a battle. They had shattered the very foundation of Krulthak military doctrine. The galaxy's balance of power had shifted in a single day, and the Empire would never be the same. News of the Krulthak defeat spread through the Empire's quantum networks like a virus, fragmenting into countless versions of the same impossible truth. The undefeated had been defeated. In the Imperial Palace on Krulthor Prime, High Commander Vexthal received the battle logs with mounting horror. The massive crystalline chamber, normally humming with the collective thoughts of the Imperial Council, had fallen silent. Dozens of Krulthak elders stood frozen before the holographic display, showing the systematic destruction of Admiral Senthar's fleet. How did we not see this? Vexthal's voice echoed through the chamber. Every intelligence report, every analysis, every observation suggested the humans were barely capable of interstellar travel. Council Elder Mirathan stepped forward, her ancient exoskeleton creaking with each movement. Because, High Commander, they wanted us to see exactly that. The humans didn't just hide their capabilities. They crafted a masterpiece of deception. The holographic display shifted, showing years of accumulated data about human civilization. Trade routes, colonial expansion, technological development, all of it carefully orchestrated to paint a picture of a young, struggling species. Look here, Mirthan indicated, manipulating the display. Their ships always seemed to struggle at the edge of their territory, requiring frequent maintenance. Their colonies appeared to barely sustain themselves. Their transmissions were filled with complaints about technological limitations. It was all theater. New data streamed in from the Empire's deep space monitoring stations. Human fleets were appearing throughout Krulthak space, emerging from what analysts were now calling quantum shadow states, artificial pockets of space-time that had been hiding their true military presence for years. They didn't just deceive our sensors. Vexthal realized they deceived our entire civilization's way of thinking. We saw what we expected to see. Another primitive species ready for conquest. The chamber's quantum crystals pulsed with agitation as more reports arrived. Human ships had been detected near 3 more Imperial colony systems, but the readings were conflicting. Some sensors showed massive fleets, others showed nothing at all. It was impossible to determine what was real and what was deception. Their strategy goes beyond military engagement, Elder Mirathan observed. They're attacking the very foundation of our tactical doctrine. For millennia, we've relied on absolute information superiority. Now, we can't trust our own sensors. The display shifted again, showing a transmission intercepted from a human command frequency. Fleet Admiral Chen's voice filled the chamber. Remember your training. Every ship is a shadow. Every shadow is a ship. Let them see what they fear most. Vexthal's mandibles clicked in frustration as he watched his empire's carefully constructed military network unravel. The humans weren't just winning battles, they were rewriting the rules of warfare itself. They're using our psychological profile against us, another council member noted. Our species evolved as apex predators, relying on absolute certainty before striking. The humans have created an environment of perpetual uncertainty. Reports continued to flood in. Imperial fleet commanders were refusing to engage suspected human forces, unable to distinguish between actual threats and quantum mirages. The most powerful military force in known space was being paralyzed, not by superior firepower, but by the fear of what might or might not be real. A junior analyst burst into the chamber, his exoskeleton practically vibrating with urgency. "High Commander, we've detected massive energy signatures approaching the Corin sector." "Show me," Vexthal demanded. The holographic display shifted to show what appeared to be hundreds of human warships advancing toward one of the Empire's core industrial systems. But as they watched, the fleet seemed to flicker and multiply, splitting into thousands of possible configurations. "Are they real?" Vexthal asked, knowing the futility of the question. "Unknown, High Commander. Our quantum probability engines can't establish a baseline reality. The humans appear to be operating on multiple quantum states simultaneously." Elder Murthen's ancient eyes narrowed. "They're not just using technology to hide their ships, they're weaponizing uncertainty itself. Every sensor reading could be a trick, or it could be hiding something worse. They've turned our own thoroughness against us." The chamber erupted in debates about possible responses, but Vexthal barely heard them. He was watching the tactical display, understanding for the first time the true genius of the human strategy. They hadn't needed to match the Empire's military might. They had simply needed to make that might irrelevant. "Send word to all fleet commanders," he finally ordered. "Fall back to defensive positions around core worlds only. We can't fight an enemy we can't even prove exists." As the orders went out, Vexthal received one final transmission from Admiral Chen. "Your empire has spent millennia perfecting the art of conquest. We spent those same millennia perfecting the art of survival. You're about to learn which is more valuable." The High Commander of the mighty Krelthak Empire stood in his crystalline chamber, surrounded by the most advanced technology in known space, and realized that none of it mattered. The humans had turned their perceived weakness into an unstoppable weapon, and the Empire's strength had become its greatest vulnerability. The art of deception, it seemed, was mightier than the art of war. The quantum storms began 3 days after the Empire's retreat order. Throughout Krelthak space, reality itself seemed to fracture as human quantum technology tore through the fabric of space-time. On the bridge of the UEFS Hyperion, Fleet Admiral Chen watched the devastation unfold through screens of shifting probability. "Status report on Operation Shattered Mirror," she commanded, her voice steady despite the gravity of what they were attempting. Dr. Yuki Tanaka, head of Earth's Quantum Warfare Division, gestured at the swirling data streams surrounding them. "The quantum cascade is proceeding exactly as calculated. Every human ship's quantum wake is creating ripples in spacetime that multiply exponentially when they interact with Krelthak scanning technology." The Hyperion's tactical display showed thousands of human vessels moving through Imperial space in precise formations. But unlike conventional fleets, these ships existed in multiple quantum states simultaneously. When Krelthak sensors attempted to scan them, the interaction created a cascade of quantum possibilities that overwhelmed the Empire's highly sensitive detection systems. "Their entire defense network is based on absolute certainty," Tanaka explained, her eyes reflecting the shifting patterns of quantum interference. "By introducing quantum uncertainty at this scale, we're not just blocking their sensors, we're forcing their entire military infrastructure to face an impossible paradox." Throughout Imperial space, Krelthak command centers were going dark. Their quantum communication networks, designed to process perfect information, were being overwhelmed by the chaos of infinite possibilities. Every attempt to coordinate a response only made the situation worse. "Show me the Koran sector," Chen ordered. The display shifted to show one of the Empire's primary industrial hubs. The massive crystalline shipyards that had produced the Krulthak's invasion fleets were now surrounded by a maelstrom of quantum distortions. Reality itself seemed to bend and twist as human ships phased between dimensions, appearing and disappearing like digital ghosts. "Their quantum crystals are highly attuned to space-time fluctuations," Tanaka said, monitoring the cascading effects. "When our ships shift quantum states, it creates a feedback loop in their technology. The more they try to track us, the more unstable the local quantum field becomes. Their quantum crystals are highly attuned to space-time fluctuations," Tanaka said, monitoring the cascading effects. "When our ships shift quantum states, it creates a feedback loop in their technology. The more they try to track us, the more unstable the local quantum field becomes." Chen watched as another Krulthak battle group attempted to engage what they thought was a human fleet, only to find themselves firing at quantum echoes while real Earth ships emerged behind them. The Empire's legendary precision had become a liability. Their weapons were useless against targets that existed in multiple states of reality. "Incoming transmission from High Command," the communications officer announced. "The Krulthak are requesting a ceasefire." "Put it through," Chen ordered, already knowing what she would hear. High Commander Vexthal's voice filled the bridge, strained with an emotion no human had ever heard in a Krulthak speech. "Fear. Admiral Chen, you must stop this. The quantum cascades are spreading beyond our military networks. Civilian systems are beginning to fail. Entire worlds are losing their connection to the Imperial quantum grid." "The cascade effect was inevitable," Chen replied calmly. "Your entire civilization is built on quantum technology that demands absolute certainty. We simply introduced an element of uncertainty that your systems can't resolve." "You don't understand." Vexthal's voice cracked. "Our worlds are connected through quantum entanglement. As the cascade spreads, it's not just disrupting communications, it's unraveling the very foundation of our society. Our food production, our atmosphere processors, our gravity generators. Everything depends on stable quantum fields." Chen shared a look with Dr. Tanaka, who nodded grimly. They had anticipated this possibility, but the speed of the collapse was surprising even to them. "We can stop the cascade," Chen offered, "but the Empire must understand that this is not a negotiation. We're not interested in conquest or subjugation. What we want is a fundamental change in how your species interacts with others." The silence that followed was heavy with the weight of millennia of Krulthak history. Their empire had been built on the assumption of technological supremacy. Now that same technology was becoming their undoing. "The Council will agree to your terms," Vexthal finally responded, his voice hollow. "We have no choice. Our civilization is reaching a quantum breaking point. If the cascade continues, there won't be an empire left to save." As Chen prepared to transmit the ceasefire codes, she reflected on the irony of the situation. The Krulthak had spent thousands of years perfecting their control over quantum mechanics, never imagining that their mastery of the microscopic world would become their greatest vulnerability. "Send the shutdown sequence," she ordered, "and prepare for Phase 4 of the operation. The real work begins now, helping the Empire transition from conquerors to neighbors." As the quantum storms began to subside, the stars became visible again through the Hyperion's viewport. But the galaxy they illuminated would never be the same. Humanity had not just defeated an empire. They had fundamentally changed the balance of power in the universe, using the very laws of physics as their weapon. The UEF's Hyperion's war room hummed with activity as holographic displays showed the systematic dismantling of the Krulthak military doctrine. Admiral Chen stood before the central tactical table, watching as the Empire's perfectly ordered formations dissolved into confusion against the seemingly random attacks of human forces. "RIA, give me an assessment of the current battlefield dynamics," Chen commanded. The ship's advanced recursive intelligence array materialized as a shifting pattern of blue light above the tactical display. The Krelthak are attempting to adapt their traditional formations to counter our unpredictable attack patterns. However, their rigid hierarchical command structure is proving to be their greatest weakness. The display showed hundreds of human ships moving in what appeared to be complete chaos, yet each maneuver was precisely calculated by thousands of distributed AI systems working in concert. Unlike the Krelthak's centralized command structure, Earth's fleet operated on what they called the Swarm Intelligence Protocol. "Show me the neural pattern analysis of their response times," Chen requested. Araria expanded the display, revealing complex webs of decision-making patterns across the Krelthak fleet. Their command chain requires validation from superior officers for any significant tactical deviation. Average response time to unexpected situations, 47 seconds. Our distributed AI network's response time, 0.3 seconds. Dr. Marcus Rivera, the architect of Earth's military AI systems, stepped forward. "The beauty of our approach isn't just the speed, it's the unpredictability. Each ship's AI learns and adapts independently while remaining connected to the collective intelligence network. The Krelthak literally cannot predict what we'll do next because even we don't know until the moment it happens." The tactical display illustrated his point as a squadron of human destroyers executed a series of maneuvers that appeared random but created a perfect trap for a Krelthak battle group. The Empire's ships, trying to maintain their geometric formations, found themselves caught in a constantly shifting web of fire. Their entire military philosophy is based on perfect coordination and predetermined responses, Rivera continued. They've never encountered an enemy that could outthink them on a moment-by-moment basis. Each of our ships is simultaneously independent and part of a greater whole, making decisions faster than their central command can even process the situation. Araya's holographic form pulsed as it processed new battlefield data. Detecting a significant shift in Krelthak battle tactics, they appear to be attempting to duplicate our distributed command structure. Chen smiled grimly. "Show me." The display shifted to show a Krelthak fleet breaking from their traditional crystal lattice formation, attempting to move in more fluid patterns. But the change was causing visible chaos in their ranks. Ships accustomed to receiving precise orders were struggling to operate with greater autonomy. Their attempt to adapt is actually making them more vulnerable, Araya analyzed. Their crews are trained to execute precise orders, not make independent decisions. The psychological stress of uncertainty is causing a 43% decrease in combat effectiveness. The war room watched as human ships took advantage of this confusion. Earth's fleet moved like a living organism, each vessel acting as both an individual hunter and part of a greater whole. Where the Krelthak saw chaos, humanity had mastered the art of controlled randomness. They're trying to copy our tactics without understanding the fundamental philosophy behind them, Rivera observed. Our strength isn't just in the technology, it's in our entire approach to warfare. The Krelthak believe in perfect order. We understand that true adaptability comes from embracing controlled chaos. Araya's display showed new data streams. Multiple Krelthak command ships are showing signs of system overload. Their quantum processors cannot handle the computational demands of decentralized decision-making. Their attempts to adapt are causing cascading failures throughout their network. Chen watched as the Empire's mighty fleets began to break apart, not from direct attacks, but from their own attempts to change centuries of ingrained tactical doctrine. The Krelthak had built their military on the principle of perfect coordination. Now that very principle was becoming their undoing. "Send in the autonomous squadrons," Chen ordered. "Let's show them what true adaptive warfare looks like." Waves of smaller human vessels surged forward, each powered by a unique AI that could make thousands of tactical decisions per second. They moved like schools of fish, flowing around Krelthak weapons fire, finding gaps in their defenses that even their creators couldn't have predicted. The Empire's greatest mistake, Rivera mused, watching the battle unfold, was assuming that superior technology alone guaranteed victory. They never understood that true military supremacy comes from the perfect balance of chaos and control. As the battle continued, the difference between the two approaches became starkly clear. The Krelthak fought like a perfect machine, precise, powerful, but ultimately predictable. Humanity fought like a living thing, adaptive, unpredictable, and impossible to truly defeat because they could become something new at any moment. The calculated chaos of Earth's battle strategy was proving to be more powerful than all the crystalline perfection of the Empire's military might. In trying to match humanity's adaptability, the Krelthak were only hastening their own defeat. The crystalline spires of the Imperial Palace on Krell-4 Prime cast rainbow-hued shadows across the delegation chamber. Fleet Admiral Chen stood before the assembled Krelthak Council, her dress uniform a stark contrast to their iridescent exoskeletons. The silence in the chamber was heavy with the weight of history being made. The terms of surrender are unprecedented, High Commander Vexthal declared, his voice echoing through the vast space. No species has ever dictated terms to the Empire before. These aren't terms of surrender, Chen corrected. They're terms of transformation. Humanity has no interest in ruling the Empire or dismantling it. We want to help you become something greater than conquerors. The quantum displays surrounding them showed the aftermath of the conflict, disabled Krelthak fleets, disrupted systems, and the countless quantum storms that had reshaped portions of Imperial space. But they also showed something else. Human ships providing aid to affected worlds. Earth scientists working alongside Krelthak engineers to stabilize damaged quantum networks. You could destroy us completely, Elder Mirthan observed, her ancient eyes studying Chen carefully. Your quantum warfare capabilities have proven that. Yet you choose to help us rebuild. Why? Chen gestured to the displays. Because the galaxy doesn't need another empire built on dominance. It needs civilizations that can work together, learn from each other. The Krelthak achieved technological marvels that humanity can barely comprehend. Imagine what we could accomplish as allies instead of enemies. The chamber's quantum crystals pulsed with the collective thoughts of the Council as they processed this radical proposition. For millennia, the Empire had known only conquest or resistance. The concept of genuine cooperation was alien to them. Dr. Tanaka stepped forward, her quantum interface device projecting data streams that interacted with the chamber's crystalline architecture. We've already begun developing hybrid technologies that combine Krelthak quantum engineering with human adaptive systems. The potential applications go far beyond warfare. The displays shifted to show prototype designs, ships that could navigate both normal space and quantum realms, communication systems that could maintain clarity across dimensional boundaries, medical technologies that could heal at the quantum level. Your empire's fall wasn't just a military defeat, Chen continued. It was the end of an era. The galaxy is changing. The old ways of conquest and subjugation can't survive in a universe where any species might have hidden capabilities that could reshape reality itself. High Commander Vexthal's mandibles clicked thoughtfully. And what guarantee do we have that humanity won't simply become the new empire? That you won't use your superiority to dominate as we did? Chen smiled. Because we understand something that the Empire never did. True strength doesn't come from dominating others. It comes from growing together. Every species we've contacted since this conflict began has been offered the same thing. Partnership, not subjugation. The displays showed new images, joint human-alien research facilities, mixed species colonies, ships of various designs working together to explore uncharted regions of space. The future Chen was describing wasn't just a possibility. It was already beginning. The price of victory, she declared, isn't measured in territories conquered or resources gained. It's measured in the opportunities we create, the bridges we build, the futures we make possible. Humanity didn't win this war just to become the next empire. We won it to end the cycle of empires altogether. Elder Mirthan rose from her crystalline throne, her movement causing ripples of light through the chamber. In all our history, We never encountered a species that could defeat us. Now we found one that can defeat us and chooses not to destroy us. Perhaps that is a greater victory than any the Empire ever achieved. The council chamber hummed with a new frequency as the reality of the situation settled over its occupants. The mighty Krelthak Empire had been humbled not just by superior technology or tactics, but by a fundamentally different way of thinking about power and progress. The terms are accepted. Vexthal announced formally. The Krelthak Empire will join humanity's partnership. The word seemed strange coming from his mandibles, but it carried hope rather than bitterness. As the formal proceedings concluded, Shen looked out through the crystal walls at the distant stars. The galaxy was entering a new age, one shaped not by the ambitions of empires, but by the collaborative potential of diverse civilizations working together. The victory hadn't just changed the Krelthak, it had changed humanity too. They had proven they could defeat the most powerful empire in known space, but more importantly, they had proven they could choose a different path afterward. The price of victory was the responsibility that came with it, the duty to build something better than what they had defeated. As the first rays of Krelthur's sun painted the crystal city in countless colors, that future was already beginning to take shape.